And my next guest served as the former acting director of ICE during the Obama administration. John Sandweg joins me now. John, first, I want to start with your reaction and whether you agree with the ICE agents' actions here. If you were the acting ICE director, how would you respond?
No, Kira, it's obviously way too soon to tell at this point. There has to be, you cannot make a rush to judgment in these cases. You have to wait until the completion of a full and fair investigation. I mean, the standard for the use of force is, reasonable fear of imminent danger of death or serious bodily injury under the totality of the circumstances. The videos certainly raise troubling questions. The videos are certainly concerning, but they don't tell us nearly everything we need to know. So unless and until the results of that investigation come through, I don't see how anyone can make a judgment in this case. But I think you can certainly recognize that there are troubling questions raised by the videos and that this was a tragedy that never should have happened.
Agreed. Well, earlier this afternoon, the acting ICE director, Todd Lyons, joined Fox News to discuss the incident and whether any of this could have been avoided. Here's what he said.
This is all avoidable because if local jurisdictions would work with us, and if the American public would just not interfere with a law enforcement operation. We can take ICE out of the equation, Dana, just any law enforcement operation. No citizen should walk up in the middle of a traffic stop here with Metro PD in Washington, D.C. You shouldn't, go up to a sheriff that's conducting a lawful operation in your home county or town.
John, what do you think? Is he right? And if so, how do you discern the difference between peaceful protesting and unlawful agitation?
Okay, again, we don't know what led this lady here. I heard today reports, some people saying she was just returning her kids from school. Unless and until you have that investigation, unless and until what led her there, why she was parked, blocking in a way that looked like she was blocking the road, until we have answers to those questions, I think it's hard to make any judgments. And I think it's been irresponsible, the department's position on this. I don't know why the secretary and department leadership rushed out with conclusions that this was a justifiable shooting. I think that especially when you look at these videos, and I think if the regular public looks at this, as we've seen, the regular public has serious concerns with it. Just from having worked, at Homeland Security and ICE, I know that you have to look deeper than that, right? You learn that from experience. But I understand why the Republic has questions. But when the secretary runs out and says this is so definitively a clear-cut case of attempted murder by a domestic terrorist, it just undercuts the credibility of the department, undercuts the credibility of ICE, and it just further politicizes a law enforcement agency. And throughout the history, Kira, of DHS and ICE, the goal was not to be a political agency. It's a national security public safety agency that's there to serve all Americans and protect them. And I just worry that by turning this into a political topic, we are again politicizing the agency in a way that undercuts its effectiveness, undercuts its ability to work with state and local. So look, let's wait until the facts come in, and that I think everybody who's worked in law enforcement and leadership at the department would agree that that is the proper and responsible course.
So what's the goal of ICE now, John?
In terms of
moving forward on procedure and investigation and being out on the streets and dealing with protesters.
In the normal course, Kira, in the normal course, I think what you would see right now is the investigation would commence, right? The FBI has taken over the investigation. They will interview the officers. You're pulling the evidence and you're waiting for the outcome of that. Typically, you'd see the officer being placed on administrative leave. And typically, you would see an effort to de-escalate the situation, a recognition that this was a traumatic event. Everybody should agree this was a tragic event. But it has galvanized the community. And I think you would say it doesn't mean you dissipate immigration enforcement. It doesn't mean you back off necessarily, but you lower the visibility in a way to try to lower the temperature in the community. That's what I would like to see, is efforts to try to do that. Unfortunately, it appears to me that that's not the decision the administration makes. Instead, wants to double down and kind of characterize this as a right versus wrong, prematurely.
Tensions are clearly escalating. What do you think needs to be done to bring down the temperature here? I mean, if you were in this position, would you go before the White House briefing and say, hey, look, we all need to stand back, let the investigation unfold. Everyone just needs to calm down. I'm guessing, knowing you, that that's probably what you would do.
Gary, I think that I can't imagine any statement coming out of the Department or the White House or the Secretary's mouth for any other shooting, and these were always the statements for Republican and Democrat administrations, is we've launched an investigation. It's going to be a thorough investigation. We'll provide maximum level of transparency, but we're going to wait till the investigation is complete. But how can you lower the temperature? I mean, the first thing you could do is start reducing the visibility. Part of the problem with these operations are they're very high-profile affairs. We would do national operations when I was the acting director and when I was at DHS working on immigration enforcement issues all the time. You never advertise those in advance. You build target lists, you go out and get the targets, and at the back end of the operation, when your officers are safe and the public is safe and the targets, are in custody, then you announce the results of your investigation. But lower the temperature. Two is try to get ICE and Border Patrol out of the crowd control. The scenes we're seeing now, the protesters are there to protest the presence of DHS. Having the DHS officers then policing those protests tends to escalate the tensions more. Let's do what we can to rebuild the relationships with the Minneapolis Police Department to get them to police it. And Carrie, yesterday after the shooting, at first the crowd grew very quick and was very agitated, and you had a couple hundred ICE agents, ICE or DHS agents on the scene, ICE and Border Patrol agents. To their credit, they got off the scene. The Minneapolis police stepped in. It became a peaceful vigil. That's what I want to see. Lower the visibility. Again, this doesn't mean you say, okay, we're going to give in and we're going to back off on immigration enforcement. No, do it the way it's been done for 20 years where you just didn't have these. And candidly, one last thing, doing so is not just safer for the public, but for the agents themselves. It puts them in a safer position.
Right. Operate under the radar. It's not a performance for the world to see. John Sandweg, really appreciate your insight, John. Thank you.
Thank you.